Hello, everybody. Oh my goodness, Amanda, you are not wrong. There I am. There's that amazing purple Ascot. You guys ready? Here we go. Let's get the microphone. Got to get the microphone out of the way. Here we go. You want to do the other side? Should we do the other side? Here we go. Oh, yes. Here I am in my beautiful birthday Ascot given to me by my lovely daughter, Josephine, celebrating 100,000 subscribers here on the channel. Can you even believe it? Guys, check this out. Let me bring you over here. Oh my goodness, there we are. Oh my goodness, look at us. We are solidly in the 100,000s now. Thank you. Schmoopy says I look dapper. And thank you. Like I feel dapper. Let's see, what do we have here? Awesome. Look at that. Just look at it, guys. Take it in. Just take it in. Oh, man. Thank you, Bree. Thank you very much. Oh, my goodness. Look at everything that you guys did. You guys, Schmoopy, there's the Schmoopy right there. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Jenny, meow, meow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone. Oh, my goodness. I cannot even believe it. I can't even believe it that we have grown this community beyond 100,000 subscribers. If you're new here, if you're into true crime, you want to cut past all the fluff, the sensationalism, you have found the right place, and I'm glad you did. My name is Gavin, and this is my channel. Thank you very much for being here. We are, if you're new, we are celebrating the 100,000th subscriber by wearing an Ascot. I normally don't dress up like this. I'm normally in my uniform, which is a polo and a pair of jeans. That's usually what I'm doing. Thank you all. Thank you all. You guys are amazing. Hey, we're continuing our coverage of Maddie Soto. I have to say that I took your advice. My viewers, I took your advice and I went and watched the interview that was done on Hidden True Crime. There was an interview of Chris and Deborah Sterns. I don't have a button for them. I should. Here they are. This is a long time ago, but these are the parents of Stephen Sterns, who is our suspect in all this. Let's just back up real quick. Madeline Soto was 13 years old when she went missing. Now, we all know what happened, but the story at the time was that she was missing. Her mother's on-again, off-again boyfriend, Stephen Sterns, allegedly, or he said that he took Madeline to school the morning of February 26th of this year and dropped her off, and everything was just fine. And then when her mother, Jennifer Soto, went to pick her up from school that afternoon, she was nowhere to be found. She later was reported missing, and it turns out that in the investigation that the police did, they ended up arresting Stephen Sterns first for like 60 counts of SA against Madeline, starting from when she was about 5 years old. It was just the thought of it is, I mean, it's beyond disturbing. It's sad. It's tragic. There are not words to describe how bad this is. But then later, her body was found on March 1st, and he was then charged with her murder. Now, getting back to where we were, Chris and Deb Sterns. Chris and Deborah, I've seen her. I usually say Deb. Hope that's okay. I don't know them, so I hope I'm not being too informal, especially when I'm all dressed up. What I have called them and it's just been my opinion, but I have, in all of the police reports, all of the recordings that have come out in this case, I have characterized Stephen Sterns' parents as kind of like Dr. Frankenstein. They created a monster, and then that monster went out and did horrible things. They didn't know how to control him. Now, the title of this video is I owe Chris and Deb Stearns an apology. I watched the 2-hour interview that they did. I would say that they bravely did over on Hidden True Crime. I've linked to Hidden True Crime down below in the description, so you can go over to their channel and see the whole thing as well. Anyway, I watched the whole thing and I now have changed my mind. And here's the thing. When we get new information or have new experiences, we have the right to change our minds, right? And that is what has happened to me. I no longer believe that Chris and Deborah Stearns were Dr. Frankenstein creating a monster that was let loose and ultimately led to the demise. Well, to the abuse first, the prolonged and protracted abuse first of Madeline Soto, and then her demise. I now think that they probably were imperfect people doing the best they could, which is the exact description that I would give myself and anybody else. Now, you are free to disagree with me on this, but I've prepared some clips from Hidden True Crime. It just occurred to me that I don't think, but I linked to them down below and they have their logo in the video. I just want you guys to know that this video was from Hidden True Crime here on YouTube. They interviewed, I believe this was September 21st. Let me bring it up over here. That stuck in my mind because that is my parents' anniversary. Plus the song, right? But they did this interview with the Stearns, and I have taken out a couple of excerpts from the 2 hours, about 17 and a half minutes, that I would like to play and comment on. And I hope that, I am not connected with Hidden True Crime. I don't know them. I've never met them, but I do respect them a lot. And I just want you guys to know where you can go to see this whole thing, okay? But, I mean, the fact that this is kind of free use, right? We're going to be commenting on this. Anyway, after watching the whole thing, I do kind of feel like they are not the doctor's Frankenstein that my opinion had been before. And after watching this video, and not to belabor this too much, guys, but after watching this video before, I started to think about people in my own life, people who've raised children, in some cases raised grandchildren, and have done the best that they could with the tools that they had, and that child turned out to be criminal. And I do think that it is possible to make choices in your parenting that will lead to this kind of behavior. And then it's also possible that you do the best you can, you do a pretty darn good job, and for other factors, that person turns to a criminal life. So I guess what I'm saying here is I apologize. I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Stearns, for any hurt that I've caused by insinuating that you had created this. I no longer think that, and I deeply apologize. I try to cut past the sensationalism in true crime, and I think I failed in that regard. So for that, I'm very sorry. Let us now let's go ahead and watch the excerpts of the video. You will see in the video, anytime that an excerpt, like when I go from one clip to the other, it'll cut through white. I tried to make it as obvious as possible anytime I'd made a cut. And again, I have 6 or 7 clips here that I want to show you, maybe 8, I can't remember exactly. But there are a couple of cuts in here that I did not make, that were made at Hidden True Crime. Any cut that I made, I put that kind of white flash in between. Okay, that is what I did. And then while we're watching this, and I will pause along the way to comment on it a little bit, guys. I know that there are some of you that get upset when I interrupt a video to add my 2 cents, but that's kind of the deal with the channel. If you don't like that, then this isn't the channel for you. But we'll pause along the way. We'll comment on those things, and I will be looking at your comments as we go along. All right. So let's go ahead and hop on over here. Here we go. It's going to just kind of jump right in.
You know, no one ever grows up expecting to experience this. You see it on the news, you see it in the papers, and oh my gosh, you know, how tragic that is. And all of a sudden you find yourself in the same similar situation. You know, we had provided from the very beginning, proactively, very cooperative with the police authorities. I mean, I was caught off guard that Wednesday that Stefan was arrested, not even aware that he was being arrested that evening.
I'm sorry I'm pausing it so early, but I do have to say, unlike many people that are family members of people who perpetrate horrific crimes, the record does show that they were very forthright with the police. I think that in reading the reports and listening to the recordings, I maybe read them a little bit wrong. I read them as if they were trying to get ahead of it or defend themselves, or maybe throw Jen under the bus, rightly or wrongly. But I do have to say, like, the record shows that they did exactly what he just said.
I thought I was waiting many hours to have a conversation with the police to learn what was going on, and if I could contribute any information, I would, and not realizing that he was already arrested and actually had been transported away from Orange County down to Osceola County. Never learned until days later that he was arrested. I thought I was just there to help provide some information regarding the disappearance of Maddie. And obviously we learned much later that this turned into something more serious. You know, and we also, at least I thought, and continue to think later with the police interviews here at our home, that our conversation was confidential, and certainly wouldn't be released to the public, only to have every word and nuance scrutinized and analyzed, and opinions formed about it that is so out of mischaracterizing us and just a lot of speculation and conjectures.
Yeah, and he's not wrong about that, and I definitely participated in that. I mean, as I do, and as is our rights to form opinions about stories that are in the news, but it does have to be pretty difficult to be under the spotlight in a situation like this where they didn't ask for it. Having been a police officer, though, like I'm going to quibble a little bit because I'm a professional quibbler here, but he lives in the state of Florida and he is a former police officer. Maybe I'm just too deeply entrenched in true crime that I know that Florida releases everything, right? But other than that, I mean, I don't think that he's wrong here.
So anyway,
the reason we're doing this today, Lauren and John, is because with the docket dump that went out there, we no longer feel constrained to keep silent and let people keep castigating us and dragging us through the muck for no reason, using lies, conjectures, embroidering facts that they do have, making up facts that they don't. It's become a very incestuous snake pit of lies, innuendo, and just ugliness. And I don't understand why any parent would be subjected to that, because we didn't take part in any of it.
I'm sorry. There's a great comment. It was Electric Six. That was the band I was trying to think of in the last. How do I look? Do I look very Electric Six? I'm normally not this self-involved, self-absorbed. I think I tried to connect those two. Just the fact that I'm wearing an Ascot brings out the character in me. But thank you for that, Caitlin.
The crimes. Is it a crime to give birth to somebody? I mean, why are we blamed?
Totally.
Yes.
I mean, the last data dump that they had a few weeks ago, and I went through line by line and then shared with Debbie the chronology of the events, the narrative summary and such, that it's very conclusive, and it does, in our mind, indicate Stefan is a lone perpetrator, as much as we want to believe what he said, that there are other people involved. And again, that's out there in a prior phone conversation that Stefan said. But you look at the evidence that's been presented, and it's pretty conclusive that there doesn't appear to be anybody else involved, and that he is the lone perpetrator.
So I thought that was interesting, because I'm still, I mean, what he's saying might be true, that Stefan was the lone perpetrator here, but I still do believe that Jen bears some responsibility here. And I know that I've been criticized, and it might be with really good reason, for using a word like pimp, like he pimped out, or she pimped out her daughter to her boyfriend. And I know that's kind of it's a crass word. It's a rough word. But I still believe that Jen bears some responsibility here. I really do. You guys ask me all the time, do I think Jen's going to be charged? I really do. And I really hope that she is. But it does seem that they are satisfied that Stefan was the lone perpetrator in the actual act. That doesn't absolve Jen in my mind of anything, but that's what he's saying.
Certainly, he was guilty of the images that he found on his phone, and then later the charges were expanded to include murder. Whether it was premeditated, we don't think that. Again, we won't know 100% of your story until if and when he ever provides testimony. But obviously, he was involved in her death, and nobody else was. But I don't want to believe it was premeditated, but I can't rule that out. But we hold him 100% accountable for his actions, and we obviously are extremely disappointed by that.
That's a rough position to be in as a parent. But real quick, let me just talk about premeditation again, just one more time. And for those of you who've been watching me for a while, I know that you're like, okay, Gavin, you always do this, but it's important. Okay. I think what they're saying is that he didn't plan it. Like they don't believe that he planned on killing Madeline. But premeditation, legally speaking, does not require long planning. In fact, there's no minimum amount of time that must be proved in order to prove premeditation. And I'm going to give you an example on this that I've given before, but for those who haven't heard it, let me just tell you the quick story, okay? I was once impaneled on a jury in a double homicide trial. It was a gang shooting in Sacramento area of California, outside of the city. It was kind of in one of the suburbs, in a particularly rough suburb, one with lots of gang activity and lots of murder, frankly. We ended up convicting the defendant in that case. He killed two young men. The first count, we convicted him of second-degree murder. The second count, we convicted him of first-degree murder. The difference being premeditation. So most of the jury members couldn't come to an agreement saying he premeditated killing that first boy. My argument was, when he strapped a gun on his person, he was willing to take somebody's life. He thought about it, but some of the jury was not buying it. However, after he had shot the first victim and then turned his gun and shot the second victim, those of us in the camp of first-degree murder were able to argue that he certainly premeditated the second one, because he had to turn and fire. And so that premeditation would have happened in an instant. Bang, 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 bang. I just shot this guy. Oh, there's that guy. Bang, 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 bang. It wouldn't have even been a second long, but it still was premeditation under the law. But I think what Mr. Sterns is saying here is he does not think that Stefan planned to murder her. And I actually, strangulation does seem to be something that is not, manual strangulation, I will say, is not something that seems all that pre-planned. If you're planning on strangling somebody, a tool is usually used, right? Madeline, well, we actually don't know. We just know that it was strangulation. But it just feels like something that is spur of the moment, heat of passion kind of a thing. Those are just my 2 cents.
The gravity of the charges and knowing what the penalty is, we're resigned to accept that fate and the fact that we could lose them in a multitude of ways. You know, at a given time, some prisoner in the jail could off them, and you know, we're just deal with it on a day-to-day basis. You know, we could get that phone call one day.
You know, that is something that as a parent, I mean, they're going to make an argument here that they don't get to mourn him because it could last for years. And yeah, that does seem like a valid point to me.
So we'll wait to see what happens.
Yeah. And as I told you, I think before, this is the most protracted death of a child that you can go through because they're already gone to you. We'll never.
Christina, I don't know that we ever found out that she was pregnant, but I'm comfortable believing that I think she thought she was pregnant. I don't know if that helps.
You again. We aren't allowed to see him right now. And, you know, he's out there, but he's not available. I mean, if he'd been hit by a car, it would have been easier on us because the grieving period could go. Instead of grieving for years and years and years while he's still alive and we can't have any access to him.
Matter of fact, we haven't even heard from him for over 3 weeks now, and we don't know why. I called the other day inquiring about his wellness, and the jail correction officer says, "What does that mean?" I said, "Well, it's a wellness check. We want to find out if he's okay." Because we heard from him. Well, if he wants to talk to you, he'll talk to you. I said he wants to talk to us. We don't know of any reason why he wouldn't, unless he's being denied access to communication, which we think he is. And I think it's a result of the most recent data dump that the guards are intentionally preventing him from getting access to where we can communicate with him. He's in solitary confinement. It's been that way since February, nearly 8 months.
The only thing that...
I'm going to address this one. Gavin, they came across as liars and as people who did nothing to quell the sickness of their son, but enabled him his entire life. They made so many excuses in this interview. I think that's a valid criticism, and you're certainly, certainly have a right to disagree with me. But I believed them when they said that it came out of nowhere, that they did not expect this. I believed them when they said that. Now, I have no, special training or anything that would help me to, detect a lie better than anybody else. That's just kind of where I came from. But, I could be wrong. Thanks for the comment.
We knew it was wrong, and we addressed it immediately, was when we became aware of the co-sleeping arrangements. And they were here at our house. And at that point, I put my foot down and said, Madeline's not sleeping in the room with you. She's too old for that. And I said, you need to stop doing that at home, too. Now I talk to both Jen and to Stefan. And Jen says, well, she comes in at night. She gets scared. She comes in at night and climbs into bed, and I can't stop her. I said, did your door have a lock? When she said, yep. I said, well, then you use the damn lock. It's ridiculous. And then to send your child off to sleep with a man in another room in a single bed together who is not a biological relative, and even biological relatives can't be trusted. Right. See, how many people have you heard of in that situation with family members? So I just felt, I saw red when I heard that. And but Madeline was an absolute joy. The girl was happy, precocious, smiling. She walked with a bounce. She was interested in everything. She had
Giggled a lot.
She giggled a lot. This is
Giggled a lot is what they say.
Horrible world. That child, she should still be here. She should still be here. Stefan would be sitting on the sofa. She would go and sit on the arm of the sofa and break her arm around him and give him a kiss and tell him she loved him. You know, and Madeline is the one that told me about the co-sleeping. Not Stefan and not Jeff. Madeline did. When she related, she said it was a funny story. She says, "Oh, I was in bed with Mom and Stefan, and when I woke up in the morning, my leg was draped over him." And she went, "Isn't that funny?" I said, "No, it's not. I don't find that funny." I did not see it as a cry for help. I found it to be disturbing to me on levels. So, other than that, we had no recollection. We had no indication that something illicit was going on.
So I honestly, and I said this before, this part of the interview, I really believe what she's saying. Now, in some of your comments here, I don't think that you're wrong. You've been talking about, or some of you have said that the dad seems to know what's up, but the mom defends her son at every turn. I think that there is an element of that. I think that's there, and I think it's actually perfectly natural. Like, I think almost any mother would behave that way. But in this interview, I think that she, like, maybe I didn't show it very well because I cut a lot of these up just into little clips. But when they said that we 100% accept that he did this, she joined in that. She wasn't like staying silent on that. She joined in that. They believe that that Stefan did this 100% and that he acted alone. Now, that part where she was just talking about how the red flag of them sleeping in the same bed as Madeline, that was a red flag for her. Maybe it's a valid criticism to go, well, why didn't you do more about it? I think that's probably a valid criticism. But also, if we make that kind of criticism, we also have to be able to look in the mirror and ask ourselves, if we have been in that situation before, have we done enough when we have seen red flags, or have we bowed to the social pressures or the societal pressures of trying not to get involved and so forth? And I have to say, in my own personal life, there has been at least one instance where I did turn and ignore what I knew to be a big problem. So I'm extending a little grace here, and I think it's deserved on their part. But it's just my opinion, and I don't mind if you disagree. That's a lot of you are disagreeing with me here, and I'm perfectly happy with that. Okay, let's continue.
He was a gaslighter.
Talking about herself.
You know, he could make you think things were one way when they were a total other way, and you do it with such sincerity that you questioned yourself. Interesting. And when we got to figure that out, things changed for him, and they didn't change for the good. And he was no longer a happy camper because we challenged him on everything. We came up missing money. We came up missing jewelry. Came up missing my deceased father's Rolex. And I know he took it, but he won't admit to it even now.
It started when he was a teenager.
Okay.
And, little stuff, and then they got bigger and bigger as he got older. I mean, he never got the truth about anything. I mean, he wrecked his car and never got the true story in that. So very similar to the incident of Maddie's disappearance. Coming up with something like that. When he called me that afternoon, second call that day. Flat tire. We listened to that BS. And boy, when you look at the images of that tire, I mean, there wasn't hardly any rubber left on that wheel whatsoever. And then they show pictures of these chunks of rubber laying in the ground. And Stefan trying to explain to me that he had a flat tire and he was in the inside lane of a highway in a high density commercial district and he couldn't pull off the road. Again, it was a story that I didn't believe, and then getting a call 90 minutes later, less than 90 minutes later, about Maddie's disappearance. And I go, that's too coincidental. Two events like that in a single afternoon. I don't believe in coincidences. Didn't believe that, but wanted to. I was there to support the story until it was different. And unfortunately, I found out a couple of days later, if I had seen that TV interview that they held the next day, my attitude and demeanor with him would have been considerably different than me making the trip to Orlando.
Again, if I can just jump in here, he did say that to the police in their first interview. He's like, one thing happening out of the ordinary, that happens. Two things happening out of the ordinary. Oh, Madeline is missing. That's three things. Oh, you just had to go driving. That's four things. Yeah, that got suspicious. He did say that in his first interview. His cockles were up, right?
And helping he and Maddie out, or Jennifer out, for sure. The interview took place before I got up there. That's the thing. But I didn't find out about it till Friday, and it happened on Tuesday. But my conversation with him would have been very confrontational.
Hey, Amanda, they get into this here in just a little bit. So keep your ears open for this one.
And I wouldn't have been satisfied until I got the truth from him. When I questioned him as best as I could, now that he was in incarceration, obviously he couldn't give me the answers. The best he could come up with is that I wasn't able to think. Well, he was thinking a lot of other things and taking a lot of actions and doing a lot of things that obviously he was thinking. But again, that would be an appropriate response from Stefan, because again, keep telling the lie. But the amount of time that I had from 2:15 Wednesday morning until 4 p.m., I spent a total of 35 minutes with him, and it was over at three different occasions. First of all, find that he wasn't at the hotel that morning.
And maybe that.
And then to learn later that he had left that hotel, went to St. Cloud, went to Northport, and came back. And then, obviously, so exhausted, he passed out in bed, didn't see him again until 3 o'clock. And again, no time for conversation, because now we're down in the lobby of the hotel, and he's now being escorted to supposedly a press conference, which there was a press conference, but he was immediately taken to the rear of the sheriff's department and put in a detention room, and later that evening arrested.
Yeah, Thumper, this comment, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I know that a lot of people failed Maddie many, many times over the course of her life, at least the last 5 years of her life, including the Sterns, I think. But what I don't believe is that they created a monster and then, and then let him loose upon the world like I had kind of believed early on. I guess that's all I'm saying. And the Sterns don't come off to me as anything but pretty open here. I mean, the Laundries never did this. Chris and Roberta Laundrie would never do this. They were too worried about the liability, right? And so I think it's pretty remarkable that the Sterns did this.
Never had a chance to have a conversation with them. Jen, that evening had provided some very graphic detail of the image. She told me in her story was that there was a group of photos that they had downloaded off of Stefan's phone. They wanted to show these images, this package of images to Jennifer. She said that she couldn't see them, but agreed to look at one. Then she shared with me in graphic detail what that image was. 5 months later, I'm thinking, throughout that time that she had the opportunity to grab a photo of that, and because once you describe that to me, I can't get it out of my mind. It becomes ingrained and printed, and I'm thinking that there's an image in my mind that I must have seen a photo, and instead of asking a question, I made a comment to the police, and then one of these YouTubers accused me of lying and making this stuff up, and it was really my bad. I apologize. I thought it was an image I saw when in fact it was a graphical image in my mind, but I thought I'd seen a photo. I felt and told Stefan that, why didn't you come to me with this problem that you experienced on Sunday evening or Monday morning, whenever this took place? Hey, I screwed up. Oh, okay. Because the first thing I would have suggested is I'll come in there and then I'm going to take you to the police. You got to turn yourself in. Let's be out in front of this. And I always told him to be out in front of this. The minute you've done something wrong, own it, fess up to it, and get out in front of it. And I guess he thought he was smarter than the average bearer would have you, because obviously if you look at the timelines and the sequence of the chronological narrative summary, what have you, is like, how could he not realize that his trail was being followed? They know everything he did. How can you, in today's technological environment that we live in, do you think you can get away with anything? You can't sneeze and not know that you've sneezed. I don't know how he thought he could get away with any of this.
Ask yourself the big question, the really big question out there. All of that stuff on the computer, all of that stuff on his phone, all of the money that was coming in by the handfuls.
Listen to this.
And the way they were spending it. Where did it come from?
Yep.
And could she, obviously she also participated in spending the money. So do you think she was at all culpable?
We don't know that.
Don't know.
That moment, I don't know if you guys noticed that, but Debbie was starting to get a little revved up here, and he reached down and put his hand on his arm or on her lap or something like that to just, calm it down just a little bit. But she's making a good point. They apparently didn't have jobs that paid the bills, and yet they tended to have money. And so this is the enterprise that they were talking about in another interview, right? They believe that Stefan was making money off of trading the images or selling the images that he had. And that's the enterprise. I can't remember who brought up that question, but I wonder if there was the appearance of money, or because it seems to me like Chris gave money a lot. But I mean, again, it's just our, it's not necessarily the truth. It's just what appears to be the truth to us, right? Or to me anyway. I don't know, but I think it's certainly possible that they did have an enterprise together selling this material.
Suspicious that there was some sort of enterprise going on, and of course, police won't tell us anything about that. That was one conversation or question I had with them, and it almost sounded like they acknowledged Stefan and eliminated Jen, but something definitely was going on, and I haven't been able to figure that out. But I feel there's something else out there. There's a bigger web, possibly.
I think they manipulated each other.
Yes. Yeah.
They manipulated. She was,
based on his actions, that Monday morning, he certainly knew how to manipulate her. I mean, going in to collect the dog, making sure she didn't come out of the bedroom. He got Maddie up hours ahead of school. School didn't start till 9:38, and he's got her up at 7.
Right.
and he's going out the door at 7:30. What's he going to do for 2 hours? I mean, when you see this timeline of stuff, and it goes, oh my God. But again, taking the steps necessary to preserve, his privacy or his actions, and going in and collecting the dog, taking the dog out. And, hey, Jen, do you go back to bed? Oh, okay, thanks, appreciate it. Definitely wanted to keep her where she was at.
That was underhanded. Sneaking. I mean, Lauren, if it's, I pray to God that it was an accident, that he got mad and that it was an accident. We have really gone that far.
Sure.
Because he did tell us that he put her, she went to bed, and that when he went out to walk around and blow off some steam, he came back and to check on her, and she is cold. He said he discovered her. Okay, so
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's the truth. Don't be anything the truth.
Like, I don't remember that description in any report anywhere. I've never heard this before watching this, that he put her to bed, he went out to blow off some steam, and then came back and she was cold. I'd never heard that before. So if anybody knows of a report where that is, I would love to read that report. That was completely new to me.
But
it's what he told you.
Yeah.
It's just
Lips are moving. Don't know if it's truth.
Okay, so that is that's all that I prepared for you. Let's bring up Maddie's picture here, and let's see what you guys are saying. Would I do nothing if my son was sleeping with a young girl? No, I would definitely do something there, for sure. And I am of the ilk that I would like to think that I'm the kind of person that would, when I found out that one of my children had done something horrible and illegal, that I would help him or her take responsibility for their actions. But I have seen in my friends and family what I believe is child neglect and turned the other way. This was years ago. I certainly wouldn't do that now, but I mean, if you're going to be introspective, you have to be honest too, right? And I have done that. It's, let's see. Thank you very much. Let me bring up, I made a little rectangle so I can see this, but it doesn't really help. Gavin, congratulations. Thank you very much. And thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it very much. Let's see. Late to the party, but glad you're here. Let's keep going here. How long are we going? 45 minutes? We're fine. Gavin, the whole story of her keeping Maddie in her bed and not allowing Maddie to sleep with Jen and Stefan. I would never assume my son is doing inappropriate stuff with his stepdaughter. Well, I would, I think I would. It's hard to put yourself in that situation, right? I mean, we're talking about hypotheticals here, but like if my son married a woman who had a child, a teenager, let's say, or 10, 11, 12 years old, something like that, and they were all sleeping in the same bed, red flags. I would not allow that in my home at all. So I think that her story here, it tracks for me, but I might be wrong. Marcella says, Gavin, if the man has been hearing a liar all his life, what makes him think that now his son is going to tell him the truth behind bars? That's a good question, but I don't know that he believes that he's going to hear the truth. Because he's like, his lips are moving, but who knows, right? I don't know. That's a good question. I believe Stefan has been told by his attorney, says Tanya, not to talk to them because the last call it sounded like Chris was questioning him. He definitely was. Honorable audio. Why are there captions now in the live but never on the replays? Yeah, there's some kind of technological issue on my end that I haven't been able to figure out on that. I've set up everything so that the captions will replay, but they won't do it. Figueroa's 01. Congrats on reaching 100,000. Thank you guys. We are, I check this out. Just check. Let's see where we are. Look at this. We are a growing group, man. 100,754. By the way, while I'm over here, don't forget that I have a whole case page. It's linked below with all of the stuff on Maddie's case. I have a whole bunch of documents that I haven't uploaded yet. New documents that are included in that 501 pages that was recently released. But a lot of that 501 pages had already been released. So you have to go through it and match up and see what's there. So I'm slowly making my way through there. But definitely go to the website, gavinfish.com, go to Maddie's case page. It's just under cases, and then you'll see Maddie's photo. Also, check out the fish tank on Facebook. If you are on Facebook and you like to join groups and talk about true crime, we've got a good one for you. Just search the fish tank. All right, enough shameless self-promotion. Let's get Maddie's picture back up here and go back to your question. Sorry, give me a second. Thank you for that super chat, Figueroa's. Let's see. Kathy Q and Ashby, thank you very much for the super chat. Just checked. Inmates in Osceola County have tablets with messaging access. He could have LOP and no phone access, but I've never heard of any facility cutting them off from all communication completely. Good comment. Good comment. Oh, I just got... there we are. All right. Gavin for president 2025. Vote tomorrow. That's funny. I would, if I earned one electoral college vote, I would put it on my resume for the rest of my life. That's hilarious. Yeah, Mina, what was Stephen Sterns blowing off steam for? Yeah, exactly. Vicky, deserve 1 million subs. Well, I hope I get there someday, Vicky, and I hope you're along for the ride too. Thank you very much. Very dignified with your cravat, Kevin. Well, thank you. Here, let's get everybody a nice look at this celebratory purple Ascot. Oh, yes. I hope I'm wearing it correctly. I feel like this shirt isn't the right shirt, but I need to go shopping for sure. Bring Maddie back up here. Ivan, one love. As a survivor myself, I hope he gets prison justice. Hey, I'm just going to respectfully disagree. I'm very sorry that for whatever you went through. I don't think that prison justice is. I don't hope for it. I'm just going to say that. Gavin, how long does Maddie's biological father have to press charges against Jen for neglect or wrongful death? I don't know what the statutes are in Florida. I would imagine it's either 1 year or 3 years, but I don't know what the statute of limitations is. Let's see. Bees gives me kudos. When we get more information, we adjust our opinion. Yeah, I think that that's what we should do. Meatloaf Creep says, Gavin, my take. Jen was using her meds to cope with what Stefan was doing to Maddie. He paid her back, silenced via the Cash app. I'm sure he was doing some sick... yeah. Bree says, Gavin, I wanted to address the people talking about the meth, cocaine, and other drugs on the evidence sheet in the document. It was an evidence sign-out sheet where an officer signed out 2 cases of evidence. Yeah. To my knowledge, they didn't find any illicit drugs. That was simply the evidence log. So it's from other cases. Thank you for that, Bree. I appreciate that. All right. I want to... it keeps on jumping down. Wish it wouldn't do that. Beach Fairy. Gavin, wondering if you happen to have heard any more from about Ellen's parents. Hope for them often. Beach Fairy, I'm going to say this as delicately and with as much respect to my own mother as possible. Sandy has become like my second mother. I talk with Sandy all the time, including last night. We talk all the time. I know what's going on in the case. Everything that they're willing to share with me anyway. I mean, maybe there's stuff that I don't know that they haven't shared yet. But I do know that last I heard, which was a few weeks ago, I had heard from a reporter that Chester County was getting ready to release to the media or to the public what they had found in their investigation. You know, that it had been given over to Chester County, but I haven't heard anything out of Chester County yet. December 9th I will be going to oral arguments in Philadelphia at the Supreme Court for that case. So there's a lot going on. All of it's behind the scenes, but I will have an update pretty darn soon. Thanks for asking. That's a case that I really, really care about. If you don't know what case we're talking about, guys, if you go to my website, you bring it up here and go to cases, scroll on down. Maddie's right here, of course, up at the top because it's organized chronologically. But if you scroll on down, you will find Ellen Ray Greenberg right here. Ellen died in 2011. We're coming up on the 14th anniversary of her death. We're 2 months away. And her death was officially ruled a suicide, though she was stabbed in the back of her head 10 times. So that's the case we're talking about there. And thank you for that question. Let's see. Go back over here. Gavin, where does your tiny baby donkey sleep? On an Ascot. Courtesy of Benny Hill. Very nice. I'm going to just, dang it. Let's go back up. Purple Ascots for Maddie. Congratulations. Thank you very much, PJ, and thank you for your continued support of the channel. I appreciate it. We're running a little short on time here, guys. Let me just kind of scroll here through. Hope Jen gets charged. I do too. Jenny, we will be doing some updates on Ellen. I'm trying to actually get a guest for that. And Tanya says, tell Ellen's family I support them along with so many others. Thank you. I will share that. All right. I think that I've pretty much gone through everything, guys. 987 comments so far today. And I just want to make sure that I got everybody's super chat on here. We got a super sticker from Judith. PJ gifted some memberships. Thank you very much. Deb, thank you. Welcome, Mercedes. Thank you, Ms. Holmes. Thank you, Figaro. Thank you, Kathy. Oh my goodness. Another one from Kathy. So thankful my son is incarcerated for drug issues because we still have hope. These poor people do not. I can't even imagine. That's tough. And then PJ, Purple Ascots for Maddie. Yes, indeed. Guys, I have to say, under these lights, it's kind of hot to be wearing a jacket and this, we'll call it a cravat. I've been calling it an ascot. I feel like I don't want to be a respecter of words, so we'll call it a cravat. But probably not something I'm going to do very often. Maybe when we get to 200,000 subscribers, we will break out the cravat again. Let's just see where we are. Got to go back over to the website. Let's check it out. We're going to come back on over here, see if we've moved. Oh, look at that. 100,770. That blows my mind, guys. It blows my mind. And I thank you all for participating in this community of ours. If you go to my channel, I should have linked it below, but I posted a 6 or 7 minute video. We videoed the moment that we crossed 100,000 subscribers. So check out that video. Also, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm on Instagram. I'm on X. I am on TikTok. Please check me out everywhere you get your socials, I guess, especially the fish tank. We love the fish tank. Autumn and Jamie have been managing the fish tank, have been modding for us. Grateful to the new mods that are coming on board as well. Grateful for Bree. Good to see you. And yeah, so tomorrow we will be back. We'll be back tomorrow. It will be on Maddie's case again tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I hope that you can join me then. And until then, I bid you adieu. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.